All right, all right. Welcome back to the Motivational Jumpstart right here on 91.7 FM WHUS Stores. That's the homie Erik Hines. I work hard, and a lot of the other motivational tracks I played for you. That's what we do. We're trying to get you excited and motivated to continue to chase the dream. Dreamers, you know me, my MO every single week is trying to light a fire under you. That's so ridiculous that people look at you and say, why are you so excited? Why are you so motivated to continue to do what you're doing? You studying so hard. I see you in the library. I see you at a lot of these different places, and you just have a different level of focus. And a different level of focus leads to a different level of execution, and a level of execution leads to a different level of results, and that's what we're trying to do, motivators. But anywho, you've heard the motivational tracks, you heard my motivational rant, but now let's get into, what I like to do with the motivational guests that I bring in studio. I'm so excited and so humble, to have some dynamic individuals here in Connecticut, but also at the university. We're just gonna have a conversation around interventions about Black male learning communities and about a bunch of other different things, as it relates to just, academic pursuits and conquests as it relates to it. So in studio, you could go to Google and you could Google these individuals, but for the essence of time, I'm going to just let these individuals introduce themselves in studio. I'm so excited. We have assistant professor here in the School of Education, Dr. Erik Hines, and first-year doctoral student, Brother Paul Singleton. How you gentlemen doing this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Mallery. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Peace and love, brother. It's your boy, Paul. I'm out here early in the morning. Education.
So, gentlemen, what I'm just having, we'll start with you, Brother Hines. Just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what makes you come alive. What inspires you all?
Well, just a little bit about myself. I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Connecticut, and I am the faculty director for the Scholastic House of Leaders in support of African American researchers and scholars, better known as Scholars House. And what I do here is I'm in the school counseling program, and my research revolves around solutions on how to get Black males through the educational pipeline from preschool all the way in the graduate school, medical school, or law school. So that's been my research for the last 10 years. And as faculty director of Scholars House, what our focus is really grooming and nurturing the next generation of Black men to be judges, lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, pharmacists, chiropractors, graduate students, scholars, PhDs, and then making sure that they understand what it really takes to be successful here in college, but also to have the preparation for life. I think that's one of the things that I've always prided myself on, is really thinking about how do we prepare not only just young men, but young people for life. We talk about going to school, but what is the purpose of school? What is your purpose, and how can that relate to your career? Because you're going to spend most of your time in your career anyway. One of the things that inspires me is just really seeing other people do well. I think that's exciting. I'm happy when folks get scholarships or even get a brand new car or get promotion and tenure. Seeing other people do well, particularly in our community, that inspires me, because I know, okay, well, we're doing something right. We're pushing the envelope. We're competing. We're dominating, as you eloquently said earlier. But also, the other inspiration is my family, my wife, my son, my extended family, my mom, my in-laws. I think family is central to success. And I think even with the Scholars House, we try to create a family. We're academic focused, but we want to make sure that guys know that they can be transparent. And if they need anything, that we're helping them be successful.
Definitely. We're going to jump it off and toss it out over to you, Paul.
So the question, what inspires me, right?
What inspires you? A little bit about yourself, brother, and what inspires you?
Well, first of all, my name is Paul Singleton II. Yes, that's right, the second. Coming from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, 215 to my city. I am a PhD first-year candidate here at UConn. Just completed the master's program in school counseling 2 years ago. Doing 2 years here before starting the program. I'm a graduate from Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I'm a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And, outside of that, but what interests me, what inspires me? If anything inspires me, I would have to say it's just these young men that I work with. So Dr. Hines already touched on what the Scholars House is for and what we do on a regular basis. But what pushes me every day is seeing these young men strive for greatness. So every day it's a different challenge. Every day is a different goal that I set with my young brothers, and it's seeing them achieve these goals, seeing them trying to do their best to be the best person they can be. That's what wakes me up every morning. What makes me keep coming in every day. Like, there's times that I know I'm tired. There's times that I wish that, like, I question myself, did I make the right decisions? And then I always go back to that same answer. Yes, I made the right decision, because these young men are trying to do something with their life. If I had programs like the Scholars House before, I wish I could have enrolled in programs like this, So to see the next man be able to do better than what I had when I was growing up, it's everything to me. So that's what inspires me. And then also, Dr. Hines talked on it, family. Like, being the first male in my family to actually get a master's, being the first male in my family to go for a PhD, to graduate college, let alone that. Like, that's what pushes me as well. Like, I'm doing this not just for me. I'm doing this for my city. I'm doing this for my family. Like, this degree won't just be for me. It'll be for everyone who's impacted my life thus far. And for the people, for the future generations, for my little cousins that may still be learning their 1s and 2s and ABCs, but they'll see that their older cousin, their uncle, got their PhD. So if he could do it, why can't I? So that's what inspires me, Mr. Mallery. Thank you for having me this morning as well.
No, absolutely. I definitely appreciate you, gentlemen. So, Brother Hines, Dr. Hines, from that context, before being the faculty director of, the Scholars House at the university, take us back just a little bit, just as your navigation as a man, as a black male, but a man of color in society and doing your things. I believe things that happen in the universe, these divine interventions, I know you deal with a lot of interventions, but has led you to this modern day being the faculty-led director over it. But from the aspect of taking us a little bit back, what was it like growing up for you? I mean, some of the research and things that you're engaged in now, when you kind of reflect introspectively on your life growing up, what were some of those challenges that kind of inspired, year to day?
To be frank, one of the things that have inspired me with this learning community, or where I'm at now, even with my research, is kind of my experience.
Yeah.
My father wasn't in the picture. I mean, he was in and out, God rest his soul. And so for me, like elementary, junior high, high school, it was kind of, questioning, how do you navigate some of these spaces as a young man? And then let's put the context of race on it. How do we do it as black men?
Yeah.
My mother did an awesome job, so I don't want to take anything away from her. I mean, she was great. She had 3 children, got a college degree, got a master's degree, decided to be a nurse, and then 15 years later decided to be a school teacher now, and, wanted to be successful and to make sure that we had that role model. So we talk about role modeling and research. She was one of the first ones to teach me, well, I have no excuse. I didn't have any kids at the time. So if she has 3 and she made it happen, then I need to be on my A game. So that's one. I think the other thing is number 2, being in high school, junior high, elementary. I had people in my life, but I don't think I had the frank conversations that could have been impactful for me. Like, you're in school because of X, Y, Z. What do you want to do with your life? Until I didn't get that question until after I got out of high school.
Right.
So what made me think, this was in community college, by the way, so I'm jumping around a little bit, so excuse me.
No, you're good. Yeah.
So what made me think about where I am today is when I was 19 years old, I was struggling with a major. And so I had to figure out, I didn't know I was doing it at the time. We call it career development, really thinking through your interests, your talents, what your gifts are, what is it that you want to be committed to. And so I saw that being a school teacher and a school counselor was beneficial. One, because I was working in a Sunday school and I love working with kids and pushing them to develop their potential. 2, I didn't want any students to fall through the cracks like me. And in community college, I saw some of my own classmates, they were struggling. And, community college, you see the research, it could be a revolving door for some students. Mm-hmm. I wanted to really help students figure out what is it they want to do and help them get on track and provide a safety net for them so that the environmental circumstances that they may go through, single parent homes, or, having to work or being a latchkey kid, that they could have someone there that can help them rethink about where they want to go in their life trajectory. I mean, in particular with career. So we know education is linked to higher salaries, a better standard of life, benefits. And so education is a vehicle for a lot of us to be successful. So for me, if I can help students develop their potential within their work and then within their career, I feel like I've done my life's calling, so to speak. I mean, I have a long way to go, but that's my research now, always thinking through how do we make students become successful, particularly young men? How do we groom them to understand the responsibility and the purpose that comes with their life? And not only that, how do we do it through their career interest?
Right. No, and it's powerful, and I think you touched on so many aspects there. That as in retrospect, that you can see a lot of these different things that you were navigating, and unfortunately, God rest your father's soul. That understanding. Okay, well, he wasn't that involved, but my mom did a phenomenal job in my life. But then, when I start realizing, in high school and JUCO and all these different things that weighed on me, it kind of led, to me wanting to be engaged and involved and figure out how can I inspire that next generation? How can I help them be as successful as they want, but create that family dynamic and things from that perspective. So Paul, just a little bit in that. And I know the last time, Paul is not, is not new to the show. It's been probably over a year now since he's been here. So I don't want to get this wrong. When you shout out your city, it's Willow Grove.
Oh, yeah, it's Willow Grove.
It's
W-I. Willow
Grove. So
yes.
when Dr. Hines just touched on some of his experiences. So now that you're a graduate student, you're on the trajectory, to someday get to a pursuit of a model such as Dr. Hines. But when you think about in your past and just some of the things as being a black male of color, but then being in a small, I don't know if your area was more suburban, more rural, more urban, but just talk a little bit about the impact in retrospect now that you're engaged in research and now that you're dealing with this learning community, some of the impacts that you've noticed kind of from both dynamics.
Well, I have to say, the community I grew up was definitely suburban.
Okay.
Right outside of Philadelphia, which wasn't suburban. That's a very urban city. The education system in Philadelphia is definitely different compared to the suburban education. I literally got a private school education at a public school, so I was blessed for that. But I didn't realize what I had back then. So you take for granted what you were getting, like, oh, this school is whack. Oh, they're making us do this extra stuff. They're giving us resources. Like, I can remember myself complaining about getting an Axum, which is like a personal Palm Pilot. Like, it was so much hassle to go through to actually get it. But what the school was providing was just another technology, another resource for us to, advance our knowledge to be a better student. So, like, in retrospect, it's just like, man, like, I was complaining back then, but right now I'm like, wow, I was really blessed. Like, the education, the people that were surrounding my life, like, I was blessed to be around them. I was in a program called VIBE, Voices in Black Excellence. That program really started the ball rolling for myself, to start realizing my own potential and realizing what I could possibly do with my life in education. So if it wasn't for brothers like Marcus and Miss Trainer, like, you always had to show Miss Trainer respect. It's no Tina Trainer, no Mama Trainer, no, it's Miss Trainer. You knew to respect this young woman, and she was an advocate for us since day one. The program was built around getting young black men and young brown men in college environments, providing them scholarship and also getting them ready for the professional world. That led me to think about going to an HBCU. So I attended a historically black university, and then coming from there to going to UConn was definitely a cultural shock. But overall, I think my experiences in life and at that school helped me transform myself and helped me get a refocus on, like, what is really important and what I can do to better serve my community and to better serve myself, and be an example for young men in general. So I hope that helps answer your question.
No, it definitely does. So Dr. Hines,
yes,
within that being stated, and a lot of the research and a lot of the trends, right? It's no secret that, especially at PWIs, but I would argue not even just at PWIs, but just at colleges and universities across the country. You know, retention and issues, especially for African American male graduation rates, is a struggle. So what are some of the trends, you know, to the listeners out there who, you know, are inspired or who are just curious, you know, if you could just speak on some of the trends and highlight just this whole connection, the need, the necessity for it in the micro level, but then how all of this ties into the macro level, you know, of, you know, black male learning communities or just interventions from college success and, you know, and beyond.
Okay. Well, so I'll talk a little bit about, so I'll start with the graduation rate for black men at the high school level. In 2012-2013, the Schott Foundation for Public Education stated that only 59% of black males graduated from high school compared to 65% Latino males and 80% of white males.
Okay.
So we see that trend right there, right? And then if we look at black students in the undergraduate population in the research, only 14% of the undergraduate population is black, right?
Okay.
36% male, 64% female. So you already see that we make up a small percentage of the college population at the undergraduate level.
Right.
And if we look at degree attainment among black males, we hover around the early 30s, normally between 30 34%.
Out of that other percent of attendance.
14% undergraduate population, but we only make up about 33% of the graduation rate from college compared to 45% of Latino males, 64% of Asian, and 57% of white males.
Wow.
So, I mean, you kind of see the numbers, you know, the numbers don't lie, that we don't really make up a huge percentage of our population at the college level. And then when it comes to degree attainment, it becomes smaller, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think when we talk about black males, now I don't want to have say everything is deficit. I just want to give the facts.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
within black men being in college, the ones that we do see that are successful, they have a successful transition to college. So you look at the research, College Board talks about it. Taking college level courses are strong predictors of college persistence. So advanced placement courses, honors courses, being in the international baccalaureate program, those type of courses help students understand the rigors of college, particularly in their first and second year when they're just adjusting. Also, bridge programs. We have like student support services here at UConn. Other universities have different bridge programs. We have the bridge program in the engineering department, which has helped students of color become successful and transition successfully to school because they provide the one-on-one advising. They provide the soft skills that students need, time management, being able to be disciplined, being focused on a task for a long amount of time to get it done, and also understanding how to balance going to class and your social life. The other pieces that we see is campus engagement. A lot of our young men who are successful in getting through college, they're leaders on campus. They know they have social capital, meaning that they know where to get help if they need financial aid, they need tutoring or someone to talk to, or just being involved in USG, student government, or being involved in any other social organizations like Greek fraternities.
Bros.
Yes. Professional response to racism. So a lot of our guys, you see the confidence, I think you said it earlier, the bravado, that if someone is saying something that is not really appropriate or stereotyping black people, they know how to respond to it appropriately, and they know to tell the facts and the truth. So that's one of the other variables that play a role in student persistence for black males. Institutional support. University of Connecticut supports the Scholars House. So if we know that UConn is supporting black men, or any institution is supporting black men, more than likely that helps with the persistence and retention, correct? And then academic support. That's one of the things that we focus on in our learning community, is making sure that, particularly for the STEM courses and their general ed, that they are getting the tutoring, that they know how to interact with their professors, that they're engaging with their professors on a consistent basis. So if anything comes up, they know how to adjust accordingly. So we preach that all the time, if I could say that.
Mm-hmm.
We also bring tutors into our study hall. We do have a study hall where students have to at least serve 2 hours a week, which helps them with their time management and to focus on a class that they may put off or delay because they are intimidated by it, or it's just complicated or it's hard. Usually we shy away or we procrastinate on the things that are challenging for us. So we get in there, we hit that chemistry, we hit that biology, we hit the anatomy and physiology. So we know that these are indicators for success for Black men.
Absolutely. So we build a little bit on that because I think you definitely impact that a lot. And I think, myself, as a second-year doctoral student, and just continue to do the things that I do in the world, but understand the systems and systemic structures and all of these different things. So, Dr. Hines, so what would you say? Because, like I said, I have a large audience across the country that listens to this of all ethnicities, backgrounds, races, and who may hear this, and to a degree, they're not as educated on the process of, well, it seems as though everything that they talk about with the Scholars House or, and obviously this whole everything is not come without a set of critical critique, it will say it. But just the idea of, well, it looks like, it's always this, or, you hear about, so many students that I mentor this, well, it's about affirmative action, and that always helps, or, why do they need tutoring, or why do they need this? And even though he said those statistics, well, it is what it is, but I'm a college student of another ethnicity or a dominant culture, and I'm going to the library, so it seems as though everything that he's saying, I don't really see the value in that, but a lot of times they look at it from this very microscopic lens, but not looking at the actual, this is trends that have been happening for a very long time. So if that makes sense, how would you just speak to that? Because I'm sure you get it a lot of times, but a lot of listeners is he said all of that, and then institutional support. Well, why do they need institutional support, and why do they need this? So if you touch on that.
So I'll back up a little bit. So Scholars House was created by, at the time, our Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, Sally Reese, in response to the graduation rates here about 5 years ago.
Okay.
This has been in the planning for a while, so let me put that in context. And what she wanted to do was create a living and learning community as a pilot to see if individual counseling, campus engagement, faculty engagement, as well as study abroad, which are all interventions that have shown to help students, right?
Sure, yep.
She used it as a pilot to see if there's a way that we could help the broader African-American male community. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but if I did, I'll say it again. At the time, the graduation rate was 55%, and with our other peers, white, male, female, Latino, Latina, or Latinx, and even African-American women, the graduation rates were hovering in the high 70s and the low 80s. So you see the outlier. And at that time, the graduation rate, the overall rate was 83%.
Just for the university?
Yes.
Okay, yep.
So 55%. Now remember, in context, nationwide it's at the kind of the low 30s, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that means that we're doing better than a lot of our other peer institutions across the country. And so that means that we are admitting students who are probably valedictorian, salutatorian, top 10 to 15% of their class. So if half of them are leaving, then that's problematic, correct?
Right. Yeah, it's very problematic.
So our institution had to do what they needed to do, and that's respond to what was going on. So that's why the Scholars House was created. So I'll say this is not the only way to help black males. We have the Ohio State University, my colleague and dear friend, Dr. James Moore III. He runs the Todd Bell National Resource Center on African American males. And they have an early arrival program that helps freshman black males come in, and they give them tools for success, such as those soft skills, bonding, being able to have that academic support, engaging with individuals from financial aid and other professors that can help them navigate the space. So they use that. The University of Texas at Austin, they have the African American Male Initiative, where it's a hub where African American males can go and talk to advisors. They have programs. One of my colleagues, Shakir Abdullah, they have at the University of Minnesota, they have the Huntley House, which is a black male learning community.
Okay,
so there are various institutions who are engaged in ensuring that their black males are not only successful or continually being successful, but they have that support so that we are improving the graduation rates. We are supplying the career and the career pipeline with the next generation of individuals who are judges, lawyers, doctors, in graduate school, engineers, entrepreneurs, and maybe another president of the United States.
Yeah, for sure.
So the macro narrative is really, black males. You've seen it from the shootings, from some of the messages we get that, we always question if there's a positive spin of black men, but there is. But how do we continue to change that narrative?
Right.
How do we continue to challenge biases and beliefs that stem all the way back from slavery? I mean, some of it is just stereotypes and narratives. And so that's what not only that we're trying to do in a sense academically, but also in a sense when we talk about changing it here at the college level, because there are a lot of guys who are doing well. I believe that every student has the potential to be successful, but it's people like us that have to help them draw it out, or help them come to the realization that, okay, I'm no longer in high school. There are some skills that I need, and there are people here that help me draw it out.
Absolutely. So Paul, getting you to chime in quickly within just your involvement, like what are some things that you've been involved with just not only just transitioning into UConn, because I know you've done a lot of work, mentoring work and things in the past, but just as it relates to here, what are some things that you would say you've seen some tangible benefits thus far that you're like, I want to continue to be a part of this process because it's necessary?
I think I spoke on it a little earlier, honestly. Just seeing them grow. So actually witnessing these freshmen, because last year was our first year, grow into young men that they are sophomores now. Now, some may say that's 1 year, like, is 1 year much of a difference? But it really is in these students' lives, like, to see the maturity level or 2 years. Seeing the maturity level from young brothers go up from being essentially a high school student to a young man in college. Like, their mindset going from, I need to go bag this girl, or I need to go talk to somebody, or go to this party, be in the scene, to, I need to find an internship, or I need to apply for this job because I'm trying to set myself up for the future. Like, seeing that transition in these young men is amazing to me, and like, it makes me smile to this day. Like, you catch them in study hall. People that don't even sign up for study hall, coming to study hall every night, just to study, to grind, to show, like, I need to work. I need to put in that work to be the person I want to be. So I think me and you talked about this, Mike. Kobe, I think, is one of your favorite players, right, from the Lakers.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody says and grows up and says, I want to be Kobe. Like, but what are you going to do to be Kobe Bryant? Kobe Bryant had to put in a lot of work, put in practice, stay long nights in the gym to be that superstar 5-time champion that he is. Like, now bringing that to education, what are you going to do to become an engineer? What are you going to do to become a professor? What are you going to do to become a dentist? Like, are you going to put that work in? Yeah, they make a great salary, but what are you going to do to actually become that person? So seeing these young brothers that they match their words, their actions speak louder than their words, like, that's what I love working with. I really do enjoy working with that and seeing that growth in them.
I want to chime in with Paul. I think he what he just said.
Yeah.
We talk about passion, right, and careers, but we rarely talk about commitment, and that's the one thing that we like to focus on in Scholars House with a lot of the activities that we do is, okay, you say you want to be an engineer, and I'm using this as an example,
for sure.
But are you committed to staying in the library or coming to study hall extra to make sure that you pass the Calc 2?
Right.
Are you committed to making sure that you're staying after lab to talk with your professor if you don't understand? anything? Are you committed to your peer mentoring component that we have to make sure that you're talking with your mentee or mentor about your goals for the semester? Are you committed to being all that you can be here during these 4 to 6 years that you're in college? Because passion, that gets you excited, that gets you started. But when the hard times come, the commitment gets you through.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we say keep your eyes on the prize. We also say, our goal is striving for a 3.0 every semester because we want them to be. We say for in the school counseling field, we want students to be college ready. Well, I want them to be graduate school ready, and to have a 3.0, you're more competitive because most graduate schools are looking at that GPA of 3.0 or higher for you to be admitted to their program. So they're freshmen and sophomores, but we're preparing them to look at themselves as young men who have baccalaureate degrees. So it's a little intense. However, I think what we infuse in our program helps them think about these things. So when their junior and senior year comes, they're not floundering. They're not questioning themselves. They know what resources they need to be successful, and they can come back to our younger scholars and be mentors. We call them Scholars House alumni, and they're able to still give back and contribute. And I think that sense of purpose helps them to continue to thrive and to maximize their potential here at UConn.
Yeah, interesting from that perspective. So is it more so quickly, Dr. Hines, is it more so a let me make it all hands on deck, resources pushing the level of commitment, so by the time they get to that junior, senior year, we're hands off and we want to continue?
No. In fact, so at most institutions during the freshman and sophomore year, they have so many resources.
Yeah, for sure.
To shore up freshman and sophomore, that's why we have higher retention rates, right? The first 2 years. But, in junior year, you become more specialized in some of your majors. So we could say for the School of Ed, College of Nursing, that they may have classes that there may not be tutors already there. And we want to make sure that if they need any place to come back to, that they can get the help, and also helping them work through it. So no, they could come back as juniors and seniors. In fact, we got guys that come to study hall, that come to our room in Next Gen to just hang out. I mean, they come to my office now. Dr. Hines, what's going on? How are you doing? I'm doing this. So can you help me with that? So I don't want it to be a hands off, and we talk about that now. Ways of making sure that we keep our juniors and seniors engaged as well.
Definitely.
Shout out Mike Reed Jr. Shout out Stephen Sam.
Absolutely. So for the essence of times, fellas, as we wind it down now, Dr. some of just the top, interventions or things that you see, like, oh, we love this, and we're continuing to build these things that would, from a broader, perspective, that we see works, with black males. If they have X, Y, or Z, I know you mentioned positive role modeling. What are a couple of the top ones? I know there's probably so many, but just some of those that you see.
I would say what we see is working here at UConn in our learning community is the tutors and some of our math professors coming in. Dr. Ahmed Savkar has been very gracious with us and wanting to work with our guys, and we've seen tremendous improvement in their grades with him being there. And then they'll go to his office where he has a group of students, and they have a study time. I forgot what he called it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we see working. The tutors coming in for physics, for biology, psychology, the Academic Achievement Center has been helpful. The Institute for Student Success, they have so many resources that help our young men as well. So again, I would say the academic component, because if they're confident in their academics, everything else seems to flow efficiently. If they're confident there, one of the things we also talk about is not comparing yourself to other people. So if you're in the class and you need help, speak up. Talk up. Let's not think twice about your ability. You're here at UConn. You're already a student, so you already here. You already got your seat at the table. So let's go ahead. Let's take advantage of it. We preach that all the time. Well, I came from this place, or I came from that back. Well, no, we're at UConn right now. You have all the resources you need. And I understand, and I'm empathetic to that, but I don't want that to be a barrier to their success. I think that's one of the pieces. The other piece too is really I see them as many individuals as I can get them in contact with. That social capital is helpful as well. A lot of our guys got jobs. They were able to go to summer school. And I think the other piece is when we talk about students in general, specifically students of color, how do we make sure we help them maximize their financial aid, helping them apply for scholarships they may be eligible for, having a relationship with financial aid if they are having issues, because if the financial aid is okay and on point, in addition to the academics, that helps with graduation and persistence.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you gentlemen for coming in. I got one last thing for you both. It's just essentially, a personal quote, a personal mantra that you all can just say that applies to your life, but it's something that's inspirational, motivational, that the people could continue to fight the good fight. We'll start off with you, Paul, because no matter what people said about you, Paul, when you drop Kobe Bryant on the show, that's a level of brotherhood that will far exceed just UConn, brother. That's a lifelong brotherhood we had when you shout out, the Mamba out there. But seriously, we'll start with you. Yeah, come on, man, you already know. So we'll start with you, brother Paul, and just your quote, your mantra for life, man, and just connect it, and then we'll end it off with you, Dr. Hines.
I've got a lot of mantras, quotes. I think for one, peace and love is one thing I try to live by. Like, show people peace, people love, because at the end of the day, we all are people. We all are humans. Like, we all deserve some level of respect, regardless of your decisions, your lifestyles, or whatever the case may be. So always showing love, because when you give to others, it's always going to come back to you. It's not like you're looking for it, but it's just the good nature in people. Do good to others like you would want done to you. Mm-hmm. But I think one mantra that I say a lot is closed mouths don't get fed. So to me, that means, like, if you don't ask, you don't know. If you don't ask, you won't be able to be fed. So, like, if you have a problem, if you have an issue, say something. If you have a question in class, raise your hand. There are no stupid questions. It's stupid. To me, it's not to say someone's stupid, but if you don't ask and you don't know, you're setting yourself up for failure. So always ask, be curious, open your mouth, and, get the knowledge or whatever you need, so you're not sitting, lost or confused. So closed mouths don't get fed. Remember that, people.
Definitely.
Speak up.
And Dr. Hines, we'll wrap it up with you, good sir.
So I don't have a mantra. I have words.
Words, go for
Purpose
it.
and intention.
Yeah.
Every day, am I being purposeful? Am I being intentional with my time, with what I believe I am supposed to be doing? Either in my research, with my students. And then I will tell you the two themes that we have for our learning community. Last year was cultivating greatness, and this year is achieving excellence. So we focus on, again, how do we maximize ourselves and the opportunities that we have here at UConn? And that's holistically, from education to mental health to leadership opportunities to career and internship opportunities. So if I had to leave with that, I'm always focused on how do I maximize my time with what I believe I'm here to do on this earth.
Absolutely. So we're talking about closed mouths don't get fed.
That's right.
Peace and love. And am I walking into my life being purposeful and intentional? Gentlemen, I definitely appreciate you for coming in the show.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
We're going to have you back, especially Dr. John, have you back just to touch on mental health, because we know that's a big thing. So hopefully we can set that up in the future.
Sure.
But to the listeners out there, continue to be the change, continue to take the words and the action within your own life. Are you being purposeful? Are you being intentional every single day to continue to be as great as you already are and destined to be? And definitely continue to show peace, continue to show love, and all those different things in the world. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to have another rock store, amazing show for you next week. As always, we're going to continue to promote it on the social media channels. The playback will be coming soon. But for the Motivational Jumpstart, I want to thank our guest, Mr. Paul Singleton, Dr. Erik Hines. It's your boy, Michael Mallery, for 91.7 FM, and we're out.
Got 16 bars next time.
16 bars next time, brother.
Hard living.